Well, Happy New Year 2020. I am so excited. This is episode 9 of this show, and I want to dive into something that you are clearly interested in. One of our most popular episodes in December was all about getting goals accomplished faster. So let's dive in a little bit deeper today. My name is Melissa Dillon, and I'm your host here on Have More Time Your Way, with more joy, with your kids, your spouse, your significant other, anyone you love, including yourself, this year. This show is all about having real strategies, techniques, theories to back you, the science. I'm an early childhood educator, entrepreneur, aspiring book writer, lover of friendship bracelets. Yep. And I'm here to deliver some good content for you today. So let's dive in. The 80-20 principle, written by Victor Pareto in the late 1800s. He was an economist back then, and this principle was actually to talk about the distribution of wealth, where 80% of the land and wealth in Italy was owned by 20% of the population. But then tons after him took this theory and tried it against so many other principles, including principles in business, where 80% of, or 20% of the efforts yielded 80% of the revenue or the results, and it ended up turning out that this principle applied to lots of things in daily life. Now, I don't know about you, but when I took that and thought about that only 20% of what I was doing was yielding 80% of my overall results, that actually made me kind of upset. That means that 80% of what I'm doing is a big waste of time. I mean, did your mind go there at all? Imagine how many things that you may be doing on the day-to-day that might be a complete waste, or that are unnecessary, or that could be accomplished a little bit faster. Which brings us to our next principle or theory. Parkinson's Law. So Cyril, I knew I was going to just totally ruin his name. I believe it's Cyril Northcote Parkinson. He came up with the theory that work will expand to fill time, the amount of time that you allot for it. So let's take the dishes, for example. You can do the dishes, and it's so funny because I'll take my teenager as the perfect example. So our teenager at 12 years old is doing a big sink of dishes. It's his turn to do dishes after dinner, and it takes him 2 hours, and he is just beside himself. How can this take 2 hours? I don't get it. And you look at all the dishes, and they're all not even really clean. They're kind of dirty, because he's still learning, and it's all in the process of learning that is taking him a whole lot longer. So clearly, by experience, the process is sped up, and we can probably get the same amount of dishes done in half the time or less, and they're actually really clean, and they don't have to get done all over again by an adult's hand, or we don't have to spend time coaching and doing it again, that kind of thing. Now, Parkinson's Law is so fun for me. Oh, Cyril, I love you for this, because I started evaluating how long it was taking me to accomplish certain things. And I did that by using a timer, timing myself to see how fast I was accomplishing stuff. And it could be from anything from home chores to paying the bills online to a task that I needed to accomplish at work. Whatever it is, you can apply Parkinson's Law to it, I promise. Try it at home. And you'll find if you time yourself to evaluate where you are in terms of how fast things are getting done, it kind of motivates you to get it done faster. Now you're trying to beat the clock. And then you go, well, now that I was consciously thinking about it, what parts of this process don't really make sense? What parts of my process in paying my bills online can be eliminated. I mean, that feels like a silly example because you can automate that. But I mean, maybe you don't have your bills automated. So maybe this is a perfect example for you. Or answering emails. Answering emails to customers. Maybe you have an inbox that's just a never-ending inbox. I've been in positions where that's happened. Is that you? If that is, then timing yourself, okay, how long is it taking me to get each email done? How can I get this done faster? Well, then if you start to research and you find, I can create shortcuts, I can create templates, I can have answers that are the same exact ones that everyone asks me, and instead of typing it out over again, I can paste it. How many other tasks in your day can you attack in the same way? Let me know if any of this, if I'm going too fast, or if you want me to give you some more examples, because I can do whole episodes on how to save time on all sorts of stuff. But if you time yourself and evaluate, am I allowing myself to spend too much time on this, then you'll find that you are able to shrink your overall workload by finding ways to do it just a little bit faster. Another way that you could find more time is take a look at your calendar over the last 7 days and apply these principles to them. How many things have you done over the last 7 days? I feel like right now may not be the perfect example because we're diving right into the new year. But I mean, just flow through your schedule over the next couple of weeks. Once you're done with it or as you go through it, just be mindful to ask yourself, what did I get done today? What didn't go so great? What could I do better tomorrow? What could I get done faster tomorrow? Maybe another thing. Or once you get through a couple of weeks, when you're done with your flow of getting through your day-to-day routine, you're back on it with the kids and back on it with your spouse and back on it at work and all that jazz, then reevaluate, take a look at everything that you spent your time on, and then go, okay, what of all of these things are part of that 80% that Pareto is talking about that I could eliminate, that I could just stop doing? Or you may realize that you're doing a lot of things that are not only unimportant, but they're not urgent either. And you can get rid of those things. Maybe there are things that are super important that you allow to just pile up and pile up and pile up because you're like, I don't want to do it. And now it's piled up so high, and here it is January because you haven't done it over the November, December season. I mean, maybe there's some stuff that's piled up there that you can just either eliminate, or you can go, okay, next time I know that I'm going to handle this faster. Another thing you can do if you have a lot of things piled up on your plate right now, you can batch things. I'll get into that in my next little fun fact here. Okay, batching. So one thing you can do is batch stuff. What I mean by that is take everything that is of similar protocol, for lack of a better word in the moment. So you use the same process. So everything that you do that's at a computer, batch that into a window of time. Everything that you do that's an errand, you batch your errands all at once. Everything that you do that's creating content, if you do something like this, like a podcast, or you write articles, or anything having to do with writing or using your own mind to produce, batch that. So the more things you can batch into windows of time, then you can get into a flow and a rhythm into what you're accomplishing and get really fast into doing that. It's when we start jumping around and we go, oh, okay, I'm sitting at my computer, I'm doing computer things, I'm really focused. Oh, I need to make some phone calls. Let me make some phone calls. And then, oh, you know what? I was going to write that thing. Let me do that in the next hour, and then jump back into my emails in an hour. When you do that, then your brain has to go, blah, blah, and you're jumping all over the place, and you have to get back in sync of what it is that you're doing. And studies show it can take as much as 15 minutes before you get into a flow of what you're doing. So you want to get into the flow and give yourself a good couple of hours. Make sure you take some breaks in between. Studies show that every 45 minutes you take a stretch break. That's really important to keep blood flowing through your body and keep your energy going. Do some jumping jacks, jump around at your desk, if you need to, especially if you're sitting. When you're batching content, you don't want to be, or batching any tasks that require sitting. and focus and eyes on screens, you want to take those breaks too. So treat yourself to those, and you'll get into a good flow and get things pushed through faster. So I think that's all I have for you today. I hope that helps, having these principles in mind, the Pareto Principle and Parkinson's Law. I really encourage you to look into them yourself and try them yourself this week, over the next, even over the next month, especially as you start getting into the rhythm of your routines. Then keeping these things in mind, getting rid of the things that aren't necessary in your time, that are bogging you down, and getting rid of things, or shrinking time down that you allot for certain tasks, and you'll quickly find that your calendar starts to open up a little bit more. I'll cover a lot more topics too about how you can open up your calendar over the coming weeks to free up time for more things that you enjoy. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for listening. And if you enjoyed it, please do rate us and subscribe so that you can get notified of new episodes that come out. I'm going to be doing as many as I can every week. I don't have a set schedule yet. And actually, if you've noticed, I kind of bumbled about with the title, because the title of this show is still not quite sitting right with me. So if you have any suggestions, feel free to drop me a line. I am looking forward to talking to you in the next episode. Enjoy your week, and I will talk to you soon.